As a designer, it's like I really thought that everything would sort of sell. But what really happens is you design a lot of things, something sells so much, and a lot of things just don't sell. So today we're going to talk about stuff that I love, but also other people have loved, so our best sellers. So it all starts with really our first truly original design. This is a gatherer jacket. This is kind of like a subversive take on a hunting jacket. Hunting jackets are very popular, like Carhartt, Detroit jackets, so on and so forth. So I was reading a lot about hunting jackets, workwear, the crossover between the two, the American Pacific Northwest. I found a lot of interesting ideas. So the thing about hunting is that it comes with a lot of like interesting design elements. So you have a very tough cotton canvas body, sometimes wax, sometimes not. Very durable, a very soft collar, sometimes mostly made out of corduroy, but sometimes made out of felt. And you have these like very functional pockets. That is a classic thing that you would have seen in like Carhartt Detroit jackets, other jackets like Filson, so on and so forth. I wanted to do my own version, but it had to be consistent with what I can offer. Hunting's very aggressive. I am not an aggressive person, really. So instead of hunting, I wanted to look at something like gathering, just to subvert the expectation. So I looked at a lot of things like for foraging, and I found a lot of game pockets, like pockets where you would keep not necessarily like a strap for a gun or a gun patch in the shoulder, but things that would be a bit softer, for collecting things. So I found a lot of fishing vests that had these big pockets. So I incorporated that into the body. I'll put this on. This is actually very small. The thing about, I'm glad to say that we sold out a couple of runs of these. So this is the only one that's left, like literally the only one that's left. It is so small. This is a extra small. But you can probably see that these pockets here at the side and pockets at the back, which was adapted from that fishing vest. They connect up, but they're divided into two with the side seam. This is like our gatherer jacket. And did a video on these online, and it was really my first taste of, like online expectation that people were really wanted to buy this thing. And we made this for 299 Australian dollars in Australia with Japanese fabric. So this is a World War II Bulgarian Army reproduction cloth. This is such a silly sequence of decisions, right? I mean, I think conceptually the thing was very interesting. It was awesome. It was like such a clever intellectual idea that I gave a physical shape. So I'm very proud of myself. But from a business point of view, it's like so stupid, so stupid. Japanese fabric, imported into Australia, paying import taxes, convincing some Australian factory to make workwear again, and then sell it overseas to America, to the UK, to Europe. It's like, if you could make the most expensive decisions in a row, that's basically what I did. And I think at the time I was so embarrassed, right? I was so not confident. I was like, I'm a first time designer, basically. It's like, you can have it for $300. Basically, it meant that I was losing money on every jacket, literally. But, this is what happens when you don't respect yourself or you don't take yourself too seriously, right? You underprice your work and you're just happy to be included in the industry. Ultimately, it was successful, but the more successful something like this is, the more money you lose on every jacket. Very nice to have success though. Yeah, just touching it and it's like, this is Japanese corduroy. So crazy. Anyway, I hope the people who bought it enjoy it. But this is version 1. This is version 2 of the gatherer jacket. This is really what people understand the gatherer jacket is with front office. It is a 3-process cloth, which is difficult to understand actually. So we found the same mill that looks after Carhartt, and they're looking after us as well. And it was not enough to use their canvas because, you can do that, but why would you do that? You can go to Carhartt. So we needed to find our own lane. So how do we create this individuality, this creativity in basically a uniform. Uniforms make sure that everyone looks the same. So we thought about patina. Patina is how a texture and a color that creates something unique due to use. So this is a cotton canvas that is initially like that beige color, and then it's coated with a black pigment and then washed back. So this is what it comes out looking like. So it's neither black nor beige. It's kind of look like khaki, oregano is what we call it. But this is what, no use, this is what it looks like. And then over time, you will brush that away, you'll have little nicks, and it creates its own color according to you. Kind of like denim, really. And I think that's also a reason why denim has been so successful, is because you can create your own look due to your own use. It's customizable. So this is, can I wear this one? This is a medium. I can almost wear it. So this is a medium. This is the original first version. Almost fits me. So this is with these plastic buttons, which I don't mind. We've since moved on to metal buttons, but I don't mind the plastic buttons because they don't scratch a work surface if you wear it. We swapped over to metal buttons in the third version that I'll show you in a second, because these have a failure rate of 2%. And that might strike you as like, whatever, 2%. But we're in the business of making things that people use for a long time and are the things that don't fail. So 2% was probably 2% too much for me. So we swapped over to metal buttons. This has a double zip. So if you align that carefully, you're able to zip it up both ways. There's a problem with double zips. And the problem is not mine. I sell to a lot of young men, right? And young men tend to be not very fastidious or conscientious. They kind of like jam it in and kind of zip it up. So you have a lot of zip failures caused by user error. So you have to really not only understand who you're designing for, is not just yourself, but who your population, who your customer base is. And there's a lot of dropkick young boys who can't operate two zips. So version 2, I guess version 3 now, has a singular zip metal buttons. I love this jacket because we finally found the right fabric to match the idea, because it balances out this idea of gathering, which is kind of a softer approach to it, with this like hyper masculine cotton canvas with that patina. So you have kind of a narrative balance of these things. Like, you feel useful, but you don't feel crazy aggressive. Like every designer has a skill, and every designer, some designers are very good at three-dimensional, like envisioning an object in 3 dimensions, very good at pattern making. Some designers are fantastic at color. My talent, if there is any, is narrative composition. I understand the meaning behind the garment, and I'm able to choose the elements to balance it up to honor the story. And I did well with this one. I think so anyway. Version 3, as promised, you'll see metal buttons here. Really minor changes, to be honest, because I think I was so happy with the original design. Same mill makes the fabric, and it's a very substantial jacket, it feels good. Like that feels very comforting to wear. Like you feel some sort of way when you put it on. You just feel like a little bit more confident. I'm happy to be associated with this jacket. Now, speaking of viral success, now this was, I don't know, like I found a way of doing work, in this space in 2020 something. It's primarily by doing a lot of these videos where I talk about what I'm studying, what I'm interested in, the design decisions, and I put it out there. And sometimes it goes viral, and then that gives me the confidence to make things. This was the first truly like capital V viral jacket, like millions of views about the design process. And this is our sashiori workwear jacket. And the concept really was talking about American workwear and the tropes behind that. So you have like corduroy collar, very tough fabric, this particular blouson shape. And then we're talking about Japanese workwear. And Japanese workwear is all about like indigo and sashiori fabric. And there are particular other shapes as well. So what if we took the textiles from Japan and married it with the shape, the silhouette of an American workwear jacket? What would you get? And this is kind of what I decided that we got. And it's this thing called sashiori. Sashiori is a kind of a beautiful fabric. It's basically Japanese workwear fabric. You should take a look. So it's this fabric that is like a dobby weave, is what they call it. It's used in a lot of martial arts. So like a thicker version of this, people be like grappling with each other in judo or jujitsu. This is a slightly toned down version in terms of the fabric weight, and it is naturally dyed in indigo. It's so soft. It's so soft. It's like a towel, basically. Basically saturated with indigo initially, and then we enzyme wash it so that it creates this like real pebbled finish. Like it changes, the texture becomes a lot softer, but it also changes the way that the indigo behaves so that you have many different types of blue within the one fabric. It is so expensive. Like, you know, like that's the thing about doing the videos, is that it gives you this confidence that, yeah, this will really go. And you need that because when the fabric and the jacket costs hundreds of dollars to make, not to sell, to make, you want some confidence that someone is on the other end of that 6-month process to buy it, because your money is tied up in this process of production, right? You're not seeing a return from that. So you're basically like, you know, casting out your line that is so expensive, hoping that at the end of 6 months you get some return on your time and investment. So this is the most expensive thing that we make, I think. Probably, yeah, the most expensive thing that we make. And yeah, and I think we don't make a lot of money from it. You know, that's the weird thing about it. Talking about Japanese denim is like very tricky, like very, very tricky. Like Japanese denim is loaded, right, with all kinds of expectation, all kinds of stories, all kinds of ideas. If you talk to someone about Japanese denim, they only think about selvage, raw, and they think about like it has to be kind of American trad in the 501 style. And it kind of, this dude who is like a denim freak is what you consider to be part of this Japanese denim recipe. I don't like that. I really hate that, because you have to consider how this guy came about. It was originally like a Japanese guy in 1980s. He's your typical Japanese guy. And the idea of the 1950s in America in the 1950s was such a strong idea of freedom. And these guys in Japan were so constricted by heritage, so constricted by really this idea that things were being mass-produced and the quality was dropping. And 1950s Americana was so attractive. A freer life, a foreign country, and when goods were so well made, right? That was the attraction. So everyone started to do American trad reproduction just to capture a bit of that magic. And that was really a story of 1980s Japan. Like that's the story. That product was created as a salve, as an antidote to that. For me to suddenly do 1950s Americana in 2025 as, you know, kind of a Japanese Australian, that doesn't hit as hard because those are not the struggles that I have. So basically, I have to create something that is a solution for my own anxieties. So this is what I designed. Japanese denim as well, but it's not selvage, it's not raw, it is purposefully really unassuming and comfortable. It's basically a pair of dad jeans in a mid-wash, beautiful soft fabric, and a very comfortable straight leg shape. I wanted a daily driver. And this was a response to what I was going through and still go through in my life, you know? I don't care about appearances and how I appear to other people. I'm at a stage of my life where I want to be impressive to myself. I want to be comfortable, and I want to look at myself and go, that's me, without a lot of anxiety. And this is really a physical manifestation of that. It's quality Japanese fabric, it's Kaihara denim, and the construction of it is very robust. The wash is very neutral, and it is very unassuming unless you put it on. I did not expect to sell any of these, you know, because it's such a really a quiet story about myself. But we made hundreds of these and we sold all of them. I think there are 9 left. So we are restocking these very soon. But as a designer, you're very happy with when your solutions have some resonance with other people. Other people must feel this way as well. So this stuff was made in China, and I think it's important to tell the story about that. This was made in a factory near Shenzhen, which is like southern China. The fabric is made by Kaihara Denim. Kaihara Denim is like a huge company. One of the statistics was that they made like 50% of the denim in Japan. And that's I'm not sure whether it's accurate, but it's not hard to believe. They're like a denim conglomerate. So they outsource a lot of the denim production to little denim mills, and the entire project is called Kaihara Denim. It's not just one factory. And they have a large range of things. They have all kinds of washes, all kinds of weights, selvage, not selvage. So we use a 13.25 ounce, so that's a very specific weight because that's heavy enough but light enough to be comfortable. I overthink things. And then that fabric is moved to China to be made. China's a huge place, like thousands of different factories. So China actually means a lot of things too. But we chose a factory that is very used to making denim. They're like experts, generational. So grandson is currently running the factory, and they make for a lot of famous brands. Literally brands with famous in their name, if you catch my drift. So we're on the factory floor with a lot of big brands, so that's good. And they're very used to making denim. Why we weren't in Japan at the time is that we wanted to, and Japan said no. We weren't reliable enough. We were a very young company. We didn't have the volume, and we weren't, in their eyes, serious enough about the craft to be let into the factory. And that's typical of the Japanese. Don't get me wrong. It's typical of the Japanese. And that's the solution at the time. And what ended up happening was now we're in Japan, in the 3rd year, and we're about to release a whole range of Japanese denim things, jackets, jeans, women's, men's. It's all very exciting. And working with the Japanese is not easy by any stretch. They're very detail-oriented people, but that's where we are now. These jeans will always be made in Shenzhen because they supported us early on. They believed in us. They said yes when a lot of people said no. And this is a very popular style that will run hopefully for a long time. And I want to reward people who really supported us from the start. So this project will always be theirs. But the specialty denim, we've got Japan to look forward to. All right, so you can't talk about front office unless you talk about Fingerprint denim. A crazy story, I think. And because we talk about Japanese denim, like I said, I was always looking for subversive things because selvage, raw was really not my story to tell. But I want to look at weird things. I want to look at the blends between wool and linen and unconventional denims. This is a jacquard denim, which is not something that I had seen before. And it was shown to me as a proof of concept in the fabric book. It's like, look, our mill can do this. And I was like, oh, great, let's do it. And this look on their face, like, this guy's gonna be so annoying. This is supposed to be conceptual, right? So I convinced them to say, hey, your mill can do this. Let's do it. So I bought some rolls and imported it to Australia to be made. And we made some jackets and jeans. It is such a strange fabric. It is a fingerprint knit, or weave, I should say. Natural dyed indigo, and the white that you see there is elastane. And the reason why it's arranged in a fingerprint pattern is that it gives you multi-directional stretch. So it can stretch in each different direction because it goes in all kinds of directions. So not only is it a pretty pattern, it actually has some sort of functional use as well. We've sold out 4 times, making hundreds of these all over the world. It has saved us twice, really, from very tense spots in the company. Early on this year, it was actually part of the reason why we were in trouble, We did a pre-order for these. We did 500, which is for us, a huge number. And we pre-ordered it. We brought all the fabric into our factory partners, and we pre-sold it. And right in the middle of production, there was a problem with tariffs, because I never heard of the word tariff before. And suddenly there was a tariff. We already had pre-sold these. So when we ended up making them, they were 154% more expensive. So we lost money on every order. And that big pre-order program that we kind of were very excited about, the bigger it was, the more we lost money because of the tariffs. So that was a very tense moment in the company. But we have survived. We have delivered all of our products. I thought it was very unfair that our customers had to pay a tariff, so we absorbed all of it. Moving forward, it's something that we'll probably do again and again and again, but we'll probably do another restock next year at some stage. And I wish I knew what was sold and what didn't, because as a designer, you like all of it. You think everything's going to be a banger, I released 14 things in January, and I thought everything would find a home. Everything would be loved by someone somewhere. But 5 things. It's a very hard job, actually. So in the next phase of the company, we are moving to Japan. So we're moving a lot of things, like we're moving our staff, myself, the design studio, but also the production. A lot of the things that were made in China are now going to be made in Japan. But that's where we are. Like 3 years later, supported by 6 designs, and then thinking of another 20 in the next collection. And hopefully within the next 20, we'll find another 3 or 4 to add to this family.